Okay, so last session we learned about CSS float and positions, how to use them. You tried all of them, able to do any designs. You will do only when I ask you to do. By your own, you don't try any exercise. Huh? By your own, you have to try some designs and submit me. I will see in class. You don't need to wait until we discuss. Huh? Right? Yeah. So because you are learning so many topics, you need to handle them. Huh? Right. And right. So after understanding how to work with the display float and position attributes, now we need to know about in CSS display attributes. Display attributes. So what are the CSS attributes we learned up to now? We have box model, right? So we have a box model attributes, we have positions, and we have float options. These three things we discussed. And another important, display attributes. Display attributes already we discussed. Display attributes we already discussed. But we will see detailedly how they work. Actually, display attributes, they are used to control the display of elements in page. We can use display as none. We can use display as block. We can use display as inline. We can use display as grid. We can use display as flex, all these. Actually, display table also there, but we don't prefer using table anymore. Because already I told you that once again. Right. So technically we discussed about the tables already. Display also have tables, but we don't prefer those tables. We design everything by using grid. So we will see how to handle them, how we can use them, how to work with them. Actually, display none. So none is used for to hide any element in page. We can hide any element in the page by keeping display none. That means it will be there, but it will not be shown in the screen. So we have display block to show element in block style. Block style means what it will do? It will be so below existing. Block means below existing. We have inline. So to show element in beside existing. For that we have inline. These are three basic things. First, I will show you display block, display inline, display none like options. So let's go into this and let's create a design here. Okay, so here we are creating. Now we are designing some unordered list and heading as categories and some list item, some electronics, so some footwear, some fashion, like this we define. Now you see in the output, they will display like this. I want to hide this. Then what we can put? Here we can put unordered list, display. Display as what? None. Display none. That means it will hide. So you can hide any element, but it is present in page. Present in page means you can go inspect. In the inspect, you can go to elements. In the elements, you see unordered list is there, but it is not showing it, hidden it is. So again, to show, we can use display block. Display block will display again. If I give display inline, what happens? Display inline will keep the content side by side, but not for this here. So display inline, if there is any content beside, right? You remembered, we already used that for validation. Na? Simple validation means, if you remembered, so suppose we have a text box. So we have a text box, some username, and let's keep data list, data term, some username, and data definition. Input type is equal to text, and so ID, username, and it is having required, right? And I will keep a span, and I will put as username required. See now here already we learned hash username. If it is valid, if username is valid, then what should happen? We have to put plus span. That means the span beside it. Display none. If it is valid, don't show that span. And if username dot invalid, then span display we give block. If I give display block, it will be like this below. I am entering, it is hidden. If not, it will display below. If I give display inline, display inline, it will keep beside. That means we can enter, we can display. Block will come to next line, and inline will keep side. Right? It depends on where you want to keep. You can display inline or you can display block. Block means one below another. Inline means side by side. So side by side, if you want to keep, you can use this. This is one example of none, block, and inline. This is one example. Another example is we can use this for designing navigation bars and all. Suppose I am creating a navigation bar. Now, in the navigation bar, we have unordered list item. So home, and suppose about, suppose contact, like this we are designing. And we need to keep these list items side by side. Then we can keep here side by side means list item, we can use display as inline. Display as inline. That means it will keep them side by side. You can also use before, after selectors we discussed, we can put some symbols and all. So we have display inline, display block, display none. These are general things, right? Already in some examples, we learned these options. Now, very important is display grid. All these days, we learned grid. Majority examples we learned flex, how to work with flex. In grid, what we learned? Arranging into columns, 3 fractions, 2 fractions, columns we arrange. But actually, grid is having more facilities. Generally, grid advantage is actually the purpose of grid. So, grid, what is the purpose of grid is it allows to arrange elements into specified row or column. Into specified row or column. You can dynamically change the position. You can dynamically change the position. That facility is available with the grid. Dynamically changing the position can be done. Now the question here is, what does that means? How we can use grid? How we can use grid? Let's see. Now for that, some more additional things also we will see. First, basic design we will create. Same. First, I am creating a simple layout. Let's create a layout. So here we have header. In header, I am just giving a heading, Amazon shopping, like this header. Okay. After that, we have section. Inside the section, I am keeping, here we have section, or below this, we have some more options. Suppose, yeah, we have like this. We have main. I'm not using section, I'm using main. And this is main content. Just heading I will give. Next, we have aside. This is ads. Okay. And one more option. So we have some nav. So here we have unordered list item, some navigation like home, like electronics, like this we define. So like footwear, all this we have. And again we have a footer. In the footer we have ampersand copy, some copyright 2022. Okay. Now see, all this information looks like this. Now, actually, we want to arrange the content in a correct way. For example, header at top margin, footer at bottom margin. Now later, if I want, I must able to change the positions. Let's see how we can do that. First, here, let's see. First, all this information is present in, I will copy all this information, cut and put in a container. Okay. And give that div as a class called container. Okay. Now here, what we will do is we will put dot container, the class container. So in this container class, we have the container class. Now in the container class, I want header at top, footer at bottom, and in the middle, I want main in the center, navigation left side, advertisements right side. Like that, I want to arrange. Then see what I am doing. That means how many columns I want? 3 columns. We want 3 columns. So this entire container display grid. Okay, as of now, no change. Now here, how many columns you want to divide? So grid template columns. How many columns? Left column 3 fractions, center column 8 fractions, 7 fractions, right column 2 fractions. You have to distribute into 12 na? Out of 12 we have to distribute the columns. So let me give those points. So grid uses, actually display grid uses one is grid template columns. Grid template columns. It uses grid template columns. So 12 fractions maximum. It uses 12 fractions maximum. So you can define fraction, or you can define in pixels also. In pixels also you can define. But if you are defining pixels, so 1200 pixels maximum. Pixels maximum. That means in 1200 pixels, you have to divide the columns. But pixels will not be good responsive. Pixels will not be good responsive. To give responsive, you have to use it, right? Okay. Now we divided into 3. Now you see it looks like this. It looks like this. Entire content is divided into 3 columns. Entire content divided into 3 columns. We'll do one thing. So for header, footer, aside, article is not there. Menu is also not there. Main, nav. Okay. For all these, what else is there? Only these. And for all these, we will keep border as 1 pixel solid. Some black, just, and padding as 5 pixel. Temporarily, I will give margin also, all directions 5 pixel. That means all have like this. That means everything is divided into how many columns? 3. Now tell me, what should be the position of header? Amazon shopping. Amazon shopping must be in first row. In first row. And from which column it should start? First column. To how many columns it should be? Up to 3 columns. Up to 3 columns it should be. So let's go here. Header. Now here important is display grid users following attributes to arrange into rows and columns. To arrange into rows and columns. What are the attribute it uses? It uses the attributes grid row, grid column, grid gap. So grid row, grid column, grid gap. These are the important things. So here, let's go now. So let's go header. So let's write here grid row. So we are using grid row. Which row? 1. No, it should be in first row. Okay. Which column? Grid column. Which column? First column. Okay. Next. What about main? Second row. Second row. So grid row. Which one? Second. Second. Which column? Grid column. We don't want first. We want second column. Because first column is left side. There we want navigation. Okay. Okay. That means I will go to the navigation. Navigation. Which row? Grid row is second only. Second row only. Main, navigation, advertisements all must be in second row. Second row only. Which column? Grid column. Column must be first. It must be in first column. What about ads aside? Aside also grid row. Which row? Second. Grid column how much? Grid column third. Aside must be in third column. Navigation must be in first column. Main should be in second column. Okay. All are in second row only. Second row only. What about footer? Grid row. Grid row is what? Grid row is 3. Grid column. So it should be 1. But you see, now I defined all this arrangement. So you see it likes. You can tell where you want your information. But important, heading must be from 1 to 3. Then here we have to write like this. For header, 1, 1/4. 4 means 1 less than 4 it will be. That means up to 3. If you want 5, you have to give 6. If you want 6, you have to give 7. Because it will be up to 1 last, right? And I will save this. You see, now it is like this. But important, others also we need to arrange. Na? Others also arrange. That means that is grid row. But not row. It should be arranged for column. Na? I given vertical. It should be horizontal. Na? 1 to 4. That means it will be like this. Right? Now, similarly, so text align, you can give center. It will keep center. Now, what about the, the footer? Footer also column 1 to 4. 1 to 4. It will be like this. You can define in this way. What is the specialty here is, all these days we haven't done like this. We just what done? We taken a container, display grid template, 3 columns or 4 columns or 5 columns. Automatically it arranges information. But this time we are not automatically arranging. This time we are arranging according to our requirements. What is the specialty here? I want advertisements left side, navigation right side. Then see, advertisements left, advertisements right, advertisements left, and navigation right side. That means you have to change here. Navigation should be in which column? Third column. Aside must be in which column? First column. You can see it will change. That's very good. This is very important because when you are designing responsive pages, you have to tell where which content should come. You have to tell where which content should display. Right? That means it should be very clean where which content should come. That means you can, for example, if I am watching this on mobile portrait, then what I want here, see, it is looking like this. So in landscape, it is looking like this. In landscape mode, it is looking like this. That means you have a header, right? And we have footer. Okay. So we have some footer. And between header and footer, we have 3 sections. So like this, we are displaying, right? Like this, we are displaying 3 sections. Like this, we are creating. So like this, we are creating. Now, when it comes to portrait screen, this is landscape. Portrait means, suppose I am watching on a mobile like this. I am watching on a mobile like this. Then what should happen is, at the top, so here header should come. Below it, advertisement should come. Below it, main content should come. Below it, so actually navigation above. Below it, advertisement. Below advertisement, footer. Everything should be like this. That means here we want header. So here we want nav. So that means navigation. Here we want main. And here we want ads. Here we want footer. When you are watching on mobile. If I rotate my mobile, it should come like this, left side. That means when you rotate mobile to portrait, all must be in one column. All must be in one column only. But when you rotate to landscape, header 3, so body have first left side main, left side nav, center main, like that. So to design like this means content should rearrange itself. So advertisement is right side, it should come left side. That you cannot do with previous concept. Previously also you learnt grid. Previously also you learnt grid. But problem is, previously when you learnt grid, that grid contains only distribution of columns. But now we can manage the presentation. So that is important. Let's see how we can do. This is okay. Now what we will do is, this should be done. All this should be done. This is container. I will keep all this. So I will copy this now. I will cut this entire content. Okay. Now here I am writing Ednate media. If media is screen, if media is screen and orientation colon, it is landscape. Orientation is landscape. Then all this should happen. If media is screen and orientation is landscape, then all this should happen. All this should happen. That is the condition I given. That means this is the condition we specified. If media is screen, landscape is, orientation is landscape. We will write another condition. So Ednate media. If media, we call them as media queries. Later I will explain detail about this point with more facilities. The media is screen and orientation is portrait. Orientation is portrait. Then container display grid, and grid template columns as one fraction. It is only, it is actually grid is enough. So here I will give how many 12 fractions. Only one 12 fractions we will define. Okay. And rest of these borders are same. No change in the border. or you can change the border and backgrounds, everything also. Okay, I will change this here. Yeah, border will be same for all of them, border will be same, but positions are important now. So what is header position? Grid row, it should be 1, and a grid column, it should be 1. What about the now? Grid row should be second, and a grid column should be where? Second column, one column only na? Column is only one now, right? Okay, and one more option is, so we have unordered list na in now, list item, right? List item, so we have to use display inline, and every list item margin right as 10 pixel, like this I am giving, because list items will be one below another, but when it goes to portrait, it should be side by side. We need to define side by side. Okay, next option, what is it after that? Main should be grid row, how much? Main should be third row, right? And after that, grid column is 1. Next, what? Another one. What is another? We have aside grid row. Grid row how much? 4. And the grid column how much? 1. Like this we define. This is portrait. When we are using portrait, we want the screen in this way. Now you see it looks like this because it is still landscape only. Now portrait means I need to rotate my screen. You can test on any device that supports. Suppose I am rotating my screen, portrait, then it will be like this. It changes everything into this way. I am rotating my screen, right? So, and I am rotating again, then it will be again normal. That means actually your computer screen should support it, because I'm using a tab based laptop. That is the reason it allows me to rotate and you can see it. You can't practice this without it. Then what you do? You have already plugin. So go to Google Chrome. Chrome is there, Google Chrome, right? In Google Chrome, I told you install browser plugin. No, you check this. What you do is, in Google Chrome, you go to Chrome:apps/apps. Open Chrome apps. So here I will give you the process. So here mobile simulator. Download mobile simulator on Chrome. So what you have to do is go to Chrome. You have to Chrome:/apps. You have to go to web store. In that Chrome apps, you will find web store. In that web store, you search for mobile simulator and add to Chrome. That you do. So in Chrome apps, you will find web store. You know to go to web store. You see now here. So Chrome, where is this Chrome? Yeah. Chrome apps, you see bottom, there will be web store. So open that web store and here online store will come. Here search mobile simulator. Okay, you will find mobile simulator. This one you can add, right? You can add this mobile simulator, okay, into developer tools. Select it, add to Chrome. It is already added. If it is already added, so open your page. This is the page, and you see this is mobile simulator. In the mobile simulator, this is the screen it is showing. Various devices will be there. So you can select which device. Pro or paid, you can't use them. You can just try anything without pro, right? Suppose I am trying that some phone like some Galaxy, so Google Pixel, some phones are Samsung. It will get you that and display. Now what you can do, you can click orientation, change orientation. So that means it will rotate, then you see it changes. This is landscape, and this is portrait, and you see it's changing. So on landscape, your page will display like this, right? On portrait, it will display like this. On portrait, it will display like this. You can arrange anything anywhere you want. Suppose you see, actually, what we do here, main content. So we have height as suppose 300 pixels. That means it will adjust the height of the main content. Because we don't have any content, only one line is there. That is the reason it is showing in that way, right? We have to adjust the height and width, colors, effects you can change. You go to the orientation, then it will be like this. It will be like this. And here we haven't changed height now. Here also. That means in this also, main height as 300 pixel. That means in that orientation also it will change. That is the header and all this. You can try this. This is how it displays. This is very important, making your pages responsive orientation wise, right? You can try in Chrome, not only Chrome, no need of this. You can try here also, Edge. In Edge browser, what you do is, if you want to try in Edge browser, you can go to inspect. In inspect, you can see automatically here there is a button. This is toggle device button. If you click the button, then mobile responsive interface will come like this. You will see responsive interface will be there. Now here also you can select phone, iPhone, and automatically it will show you like this. Or you can select responsive and you can adjust and see. You can adjust the width and you can see how much it is. But important is to adjust and see the content you see. So I am adjusting that here. So from the corner, so I am adjusting this. Yeah. Mouse. Yeah. You can see this is how it is changing the width. Automatically it fits according to the content. So that means width is at reduced, then automatically one below another. Increase, then it will be side by side. So you decide where you want your content. I want advertisements right side. Then navigation, I will change it to column 1, and aside will change to column 3. If you put all column 1 only, then you will have a lot of disturbance here. That means you see both at one place, one over another will come, overlaps, right? Then advertisement must be here how much? Aside must be column 3. You can arrange in this way. So all these days, what grid you learned and today what grid you learned is little different. all these days you learned grid only to arrange into columns side by side. That is only the point you learned. But this is the actual major concept of grid. So this is how grid makes better. Grid makes better. So to create responsive designs, these kind of concepts are very important to use. And here temporarily we are using two media queries. One is on landscape orientation, another one is portrait orientation. How to even you can change colors, effects, everything. In landscape, you can have different background. In portrait, you can have different background colors. Everything you can change. That's the depending on media queries you can write. So this is one important thing for your practice. Example, I will give you here. I will copy this example. And this is the example page that we designed now for grid related options. Right. Another concept we discussed grid for just arranging everything into columns. Everything arranged into columns. And many times in interviews, they ask this question. Already I told you. What is the frequently asked question? What is difference between display grid and columns? Columns. We discussed that because both will arrange into columns. And now you got clear answer. Grid allows to arrange content into specified row and column. But columns will place continuous content. That means you will not tell in which column which content. It will decide in which column which content should come. It will decide accordingly and it will place. Already we learned that. So how to define columns? So column attributes. Here I will give column attributes also. Column attributes we have. So we have column and we have column gap. We have column width. So and column width is nothing but it is size, column size. And we have column line. So that is given as row line. We can have a column line, right? So column line so is nothing but it is a rule, is used for displaying a rule. So technically, what is the purpose of the columns? I will show you. This is the one example. Let's add another here, some news HTML. Suppose here I am designing the content, doc type HTML, head, title, some news. And in the body section, so I have a header. So say the Hindu like this. And in the section, I have some paragraphs. Let's copy some paragraph information and paste it here. Let's copy some paragraph information and paste it here. Yeah. So like this, I have some paragraphs of information. Let's copy and paste few paragraphs of information here. Okay. Now let's open that page. So right click, it is like this. Now what we are designing here is So wherever header is there, so style, and we are keeping header. So font size as some 50 pixel, text align center, and here I defined background color black, color as white, and margin bottom as 10 pixel, and it looks like this, right? I just defined in this way, and below we have a section. This section will use columns. Columns here we defined as how many? Some 4 columns or 6 columns. That's it. And you see it will divide like this. So I will give here text align as justify. Justify alignment. Actually, this is the original size. We are arranging the content in this way. Now in this, actually the left column continues to the right. Like this it will continue. So here you can arrange information in this way. Here there is no chance like right side content I want left side content right side. There is no chance. Everything is continuous columns, and everything in one row only. Everything is one row. So that is the content how you display. Now here we can use the options like column gap. How much? 20 pixel. We can give the gap between the columns. We can increase, decrease the gap between the columns. We can use column rule. Column rule is 2 pixel. So dotted some black. So that means it will display lines like this. We can arrange the content like this. We can configure and arrange the content like this. So that is arranging content into columns. Display grid also will do. But difference between display grid and columns is display grid cannot continue to next column. If you keep anything in one column, it will be in that column only. It will cross outside the page, but will not come to second column. So that means display grid is good for independent columns, rearranging into rows and columns. But this kind of content better go with columns. So you can have these options defined. Column line is nothing but column rule. Column rule. Width is nothing but column size. So we have column gap, column rule, column size, and columns. How many columns you want, you can configure. There is an option called column span. Column span. Column span is for merging actually. Suppose, so I am writing here. Somewhere I kept a heading. So that means I will just keep heading 3 or 4 style. And I will say, so published from Hyderabad, so Mumbai, Chennai, like this. I am defining Delhi. Like this option is there. And here, wherever heading 3 is there, I will keep background color gray, and the color as white. We have font style as italic, like this, and the text align as center like this. And it will come here, it will be like this. But if I want to merge this, actually for this I give column span. And you see column span, I am giving, suppose I am giving, so 2 columns or 3 column number. It is not working. So I given column span all. So that means it will be merging like this. There will be nothing like 1 to 3, 3 to 1, 1 to 2. It will be merging all. It will be merging all. So that is the reason it may not suit for every situation you are dealing with, right? Depends on where you keep it. So that means where you keep that heading. I shifted this heading 2 paragraphs below, then it will come here. Depending on where you are keeping the content and displaying. This is merging all. Everything it will merge into one, right? This is the concept of working with columns. Columns. That is another example for that, columns. So we have a display grid, and how we can use display columns. Display grid and display. Right. So that is how we are going to display the content. Now you can try this example. I will give you a try. You can try that. Which website? indianews.org is there. It's not there. So Google all newspapers. Papers online. One website is there. India Press. Yeah. India Press. You see this. And here you can see the main concept, arranging information into rows and columns. Inside columns, something else again. Actually, every newspaper, if I open English newspaper, it is not protective. That means not secured, right? I'm just showing you here. So because every website have individual, right? This is one design. Now in this, see header, left side navigation, right side advertisements, in the middle main. In that main again 2 columns are there, right? Like this content you can design. But I will give you more good designs, right? That just I showed you that this how generally looks like. If you go to general newspapers, suppose Hindu online e-paper, we call them as e-papers. They display like this. So this is so see the mobile based options will be there. Actually, it is paid. Just I'm giving a simple overview here. You see, it looks like this actually. You see, it looks like this. That means on general PC, how it looks like, on tab, how it looks like, or mobile. Right? That means we need to design for such contents. Can I change 4 columns to 2 columns when it comes to mobile? Yes, your wish. Right? You can put it everything into 1 column, or you can design 2 columns or 3 columns depending on your requirement. Right? You can change everything. So, such things we will design in later stage with some more additional concepts. Okay. As of now, this is one example of how to use display grid and display columns. Now, one more important here. So we have display flex. Already we know. But for display flex, some additional options are there which you don't know. Some options already we learned. Display flex, what is difference between inline and flex? What is difference between inline and flex? Remembered? Sorry. So what is that difference between inline and flex? Difference between inline and flex is inline is used for elements. For individual elements, and the flex is used for container, that contains elements. Flex is used for container that contains elements. That means directly to apply elements, we use inline. If you want to apply to container which is present, so where they are present, then we use flex. What is advantage is flexible display. Flexible display. That means it can wrap contents. It can wrap contents and set space between contents, contents, and it can contents top, center, bottom, so left, center, or left, center, right. All these things it can arrange. You can simply say it can align the contents top, center, bottom. This is vertically. Left, center, right. This is horizontally. That's what it can do. That means designing flex you have done. So for that, actually we use attributes like this. We use display as flex, and we also use flex wrap. We use flex row. We use flex row reverse. We use flex column. We use flex column reverse. Flex column reverse like this. Actually row reverse. This is flex wrap. So flex row reverse, flex row column reverse. All these are all flex related attributes. These are very important for arranging the contents. Already we done, but some extra things we have to do here. Already we done. Where we done? We designed cards. We designed an example called cards, right? Courses. Yeah. You see, this is what we designed with the display flex. Already we done that example flex. Now observe carefully here. What happens according to the size, zoom. So the next line, right here, what we are using display flex only, but here what we are using. So let's see the container. Where is the container? Display flex wrap. Actually, flex wrap will keep automatically one below another. Observe carefully. We can add now. Suppose I am adjusting the zoom. We can put the space. That means here we have justify content. Justify content. We can put space between. That means you can see the space between will be even. When I'm adjusting the zoom size, you can see space will be correctly adjusted. If it is 2, one will be left, another one will be right. We can use space between. So correct space will be maintained. Or we can use space around. Space around means some space will be for first one and last one also. Previously, first one, last one don't have space. And you can also have space evenly. That means it will correctly set the space like this. It will adjust from center. From center, it will adjust the content and display. That means evenly means from center, left, right. It will adjust the contents. That is just to organize the content in a correct way. But here additionally is, see, Linux is the latest course I added, but latest course is present at the bottom, but latest course must be at the top first. Then what you can do is we can use like this. So flex row, flex we can right. Wrap we can use. Currently we are using only wrap. Na? We are using only wrap. We can use flex direction. See, flex direction. I can use row here. By default, it is row only. Row means side by side. I can use direction column. I can use column. Column means one below another. This is used for orientation. If I watch portrait, then it should be column. If I watch side by side, it should be row. In row, observe carefully. Linux is the latest course. Then what I am doing here, row reverse I will give. Row reverse, then latest will be first. Latest will be first. That means Linux came first. Actually, we add courses, remove courses dynamically through JavaScript, jQuery. We can customize, we can make changes in that. And when you are making changes, recent product should be added top, old products should be down. Then you can manage like this. We can use row reverse, or we can also use column reverse. You can also use column reverse. It will be like this. Right. So that means latest one should be added top, old one should be shifted down. Then we have this type of flex direction. So you have another option. So this is row reverse, column reverse. This all comes under one category. What is that category? That category is this comes under direction. Direction. That means what you can do, all these options you can write like this. Flex, this is okay. Flex, this is wrap. Flex wrap. This comes under flex direction. Flex direction row. We can use flex direction row reverse. We can use flex direction column. So we can use flex direction column reverse. Like this we can define. So column reverse. This all comes under direction. So to arrange content into rows and columns. Actually, already we done that example. Just in that example, I am showing you those additional options. Right? You can try that again. Right? All that. This is flex. How we can use display settings. Now, similarly, we have background settings, font settings, text settings, and all that we will see tomorrow. Right? In tomorrow's session, we will discuss about how do we work with backgrounds, background colors, effects, styles, how we can define. Right? So in 3-4 more sessions, we can finish this. Then we will go into Bootstrap. Bootstrap. How do we work with Bootstrap? How to design real world scenarios. With Bootstrap, we will see that, right? Tomorrow we'll continue. Right?